All right, everyone. It's being reported that AOC might actually be crazy enough to have presidential ambitions. I'm going to try to explain why there is a very, very low order of probability that she ever actually gets the presidency. In fact, I don't necessarily know that she actually has those ambitions herself. It seems more like liberal media has created sort of a facade of her as the darling of the left because she's relatively young and at times actually coherent. I mean, if you contrapose her with Biden, of course, you've definitely got a little bit of comparison shopping going on there. Link in the description. AOC rambling and, ruminating on the possibility vaguely of running for the Oval Office. I don't think that this would really be a pragmatic solution. I think it's more of a pipe dream of the far left, like the Bernie Sanders crowd. And they think that the United States public would find her viable. Here are two problems. There are two glaring issues. This goes beyond the fact that AOC says nutty shit and, she does the brat summer thing, which, did it work for Harris? No, not really. There's a reason for that. I think there are two pragmatic issues with an Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez run. The first is demographic. That is that the Democratic Party has created a broad tent sort of system, but the trifecta of groups within that broad tent don't really get along. The neoliberals find themselves sandwiched in a weird position where they have to try to appease the left, but they also have to try to appease union Dems. That's become a problem. We saw that in this last election. I have a feeling that the demographic issue basically was the main issue during that actual campaign. That and the fact that the id poll wore off. We can address that separately, of course. I already have. That's problem number one. That is that the cohort that you're trying to construct doesn't really make sense. There are going to be Democratic voters that are turned off to the fact that the candidate is female. Union Dems probably would not come aboard, so you've just lost half the Rust Belt, probably. You could even lose Minnesota. You've got the leftist cohort, but the problem is that they're heavily concentrated in urban areas in states that are blue anyway, or in states that are extremely red, in which it doesn't really matter what the turnout for the Democrats is. Effectively, you would need a miracle. You'd need a Hail Mary at the 11th hour or something like that to make it a viable campaign. That's problem number one. So you've got the coherence issue, but that's fairly well established. Then you've got the demographic issue. The third issue, though, I think is the fact that the far left offers to the American people a plethora of different things. And I've tried and failed to explain this to people on the left over and over and over again. If you tell people, hey, I want universal health care, free at the point of delivery, most Americans support that. I acknowledge this fact. If you say if you offer Americans expanded anti-gunnery, most Americans, sadly, support this. If you say that the government should do more to fight disinformation, whatever the fuck that means, a significant proportion of Americans support that too, and on and on and on. But when you combine them together, which is exactly what AOC would have to do in order to appease her own crowd of people to make sure that if she loses, she can still be in Congress, then you lose. This is Bernie's problem. When the Democrats allowed Bernie to run, he switched parties, in order to run in the 2016 election. He was originally an independent, at least in name. The problem for him was that the problem isn't any single issue. It's all of the issues combined. It's actually the opposite problem that Kamala Harris had. Her problem is that she only spoke out about a couple issues, and half the time borrowed Trump's homework in the process of doing so. And so hers was a very sparse campaign. There wasn't a whole lot other than sloganeering. The problem with people like Bernie, AOC, people on the ideological left, is that they flesh things out a little bit too much. And the problem is that the things that they're suggesting individually may be more popular, but when taken as a whole, they become very, very unpopular. Americans have already rejected communism and socialism. I think that they would reject AOC. The capper, of course, is the coherence issue. The capper is that she simply comes off as a spoiled, entitled fucking brat. Now, the liberals will react to you saying something like that. It was said about Kamala too, because it's true, and Hillary Clinton, even more true. They'll say that you're sexist, but the thing is the id poll is worn off. If the id poll card can't be pulled, well, then it really doesn't matter. It's not going to swing anybody's vote. If anything, if AOC were to run, I think she would get curb stomped in the primaries. Oddly enough, she might end up becoming the next Kamala Harris. She would probably get grabbed up by whatever neoliberal candidate inevitably wins in a Democratic Party that is stifled, old, and continues to run geriatric candidates. She'd get chosen as effectively a DEI hire, just like Kamala Harris, unless you have a young dark horse candidate. And oh boy, I think that you're going to end up having that. What I think is that she would be fucked in the primaries. I think that you're more likely to get a relatively young male liberal candidate who straddles the line between the neolib policies and the left, because we've seen it before. We saw it with Obama. And it works, because the left is fucking retarded. And so if you offer them a few things, and you say that they're going to do what you want, what they want you to do, they will vote for you. And the neoliberals have 10 times as much cash and the support of the party structure. AOC is not the kind of person who I think is talented enough to be able to get beyond that. It's effectively a multi-wall against her candidacy. I doubt that she would even make it through the first few weeks of the primary. Should she become the nominee, I think that she would be absolutely destroyed. I think it would be an historic loss, actually. If she were to run against Vance or DeSantis or somebody like that, there's no way that she could possibly prevail. They're going to talk circles around her. She's going to do the spoiled brat thing. And then the Democrats will cry sexism and everyone will ignore them. So I don't think you really have to worry about AOC. I'm hoping that she runs in 2028. Oh, it'd be fucking hysterical. Can you imagine it? Oh, it'd make my job really, really easy. Can you imagine all the sound bites I'd be able to analyze? I guess I would devolve into the AOC channel. This has happened before. It's the combination Trump, Biden, Harris, and AOC channel at times when I'm talking about politics. Somewhat regrettable at times, but at least highly amusing. I mean, imagine a president that would praise the Chaz Garden. Your efforts in agriculture have earned you the role of Secretary of Agriculture. She'd probably put some Antifa member in as the head of several cabinets. It just wouldn't work. I don't think the American people really have the stomach for that kind of bullshit. That's about all. Peace out.